Okay, so good afternoon and assalamu alaikum to all. Am I audible to all of you?
Walaikum salam, sir. Good afternoon, sir.
Good
Good
afternoon,
afternoon.
sir.
Okay, let me start the class.
Good
Uh,
afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon. Dear students, as you all know that, just 1 minute. Yes. So as you all know that in my last class, I have started discussion on especially structured linear programming. Under that category, I told you that we have two specific type of problem which we handle with the help of linear programming. One we call it as transportation, and the other we call it as assignment. The first problem is the transportation, and the name itself gives you an idea that we are solving a problem of transporting goods from source to destination. And the objective is that we would like to minimize the cost of transporting goods to the destination, from source to destination. So the objective is to minimization of cost. And then I have started explaining you about how do we solve that problem. I told you right from the start that this method of transportation does not include any lengthy formula or theorem or something like that. What it needs is specific logic, and you should have to understand that logic. Now, the anatomy of the method is that it is divided in two phases. Phase number one, we determine the initial feasible solution, and phase number two, we uh,
Optimal solution.
we get the optimal solution. For initial feasible solution, we have three options. We have three methods. One is northwest corner, another is least cost method, and the third one, Vogel's approximation method. Once we calculate the initial feasible solution, then we move to stage two, and that is known as optimal solution. For optimal solution, we have two methods in our hand. One is we call it stepping stone method, and the other one we call it Modi's method. I have discussed with you the first method of initial feasible solution, and that is northwest corner method. Let me quickly start up with the method with the help of my PowerPoint presentation that will help you to connect what I am going to discuss. Is my slide visible to all of you?
Yes, sir. Visible.
Okay. So a quick reminder of what I have discussed, northwest corner. The problem under consideration, this is the problem which I discussed with you, right? And what are the key steps? The first and the foremost step, whenever the problem of transportation is given to you. Yes,
Sir, to convert it into a tabular form.
fine. The first step is that you convert the information into tabular form. Then step number two,
Sir, writing the supply and demand.
okay, writing the supply and demand. And then the first condition that it needs to satisfy.
Sir, to check whether the problem is balanced or not balanced, like if D is equal to S or not.
Yes, exactly, exactly. So the first and the foremost step of analysis is, first of all, we determine whether it is a balanced problem or whether it is an unbalanced problem. What is the definition of balanced and unbalanced? Balanced is supply equal to demand. If the problem is balanced, then we have a standard steps to follow, right? And if the problem is unbalanced, then we have to make it balanced first. So I will take that part later. But first of all, the problem under consideration is a balance problem where you have seen the supply as 1000 unit and the demand is also 1000 unit. So we have demand and supply, both are equal. And that is how we proceed. Now, the method which I discussed with you is the northwest corner. A quick revision of this method which I have covered. As the name itself gives you an idea, this is the method. I will just enlarge it further. Now, as the name itself gives you an idea, we start with the cell which is at the northwest direction of the table. The starting cell is AP. Now, what is the rule? The rule is that we allocate the quantity to sub to this cell AP. Now, allocating the quantity to the cell AP, how do we allocate the quantity?
So we will check the supply column and accordingly we will allocate the demand. In this case, the demand is 180 and the
Yeah.
total
So
supply is
what
500.
Right.
500.
So what we need to do is that we have to check this demand and supply of the corresponding cell, and the rule is that whichever is smaller, we have to allocate. So 180 is smaller, we allocate the 180, and once we allocate the quantity, we move to the next cell. The logic of moving to the next cell is that we can move either horizontal or we can move vertical, but diagonal movement is not allowed. आप चाहे तो वर्टिकल जा सकते हैं, चाहे आप हॉरिजॉन्टल जा सकते हैं, लेकिन डायगोनल मूवमेंट अलाउ नहीं. Now with this rule, we move to next cell and so forth. We allocate. We keep on allocating the quantity until and unless all the supply and all the demand will cancel out. जब ये हो जाएगा, when all the demand and the supply will cancel out, then we have to decide कि ये जो solution आया है, is this the initial feasible solution or not? Now, for that, we have to check one important thing. What is that rule? This solution is initial feasible solution if number of assigned cell is equal to row
Prices.
plus rows plus columns minus 1. So number of assigned cell in our problem is 6, and we have rows and column. We have 3 plus 4 minus 1, that is 6. So that means that the solution is left hand side equal to right hand side, and that makes it solution is feasible. And once it is feasible, we calculate the total cost of transportation. And how do we calculate the total cost of transportation? Multiplying the quantity with the associated cost. And this a figure is there in front of you. What is the final figure for this question? For this solution, total cost of transportation?
So 10,220.
10,220. That's good. That's very good. So अब आप ये बताइए anything up till here. If there is any doubt, please ask so that before I move to the next method of least cost method. Not
Sir, can you just explain the last step, this total cost of transportation, what we did? I just zoned out for a while.
we just multiply. So for example, cell AP, the assigned cell, 12 multiplied with 180. That is 12 is the cost and the quantity is 180. Then plus 10 into 150 plus 12 into 170 plus 8 into 180 and so on. We multiply the sixth cell quantity with this price, with this cost.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
सर मुझे ये 14 और 7 वाला एक बार जो कॉलम एस में 14 और 7 वाला जो आपने एलोकेट किया ये वाला एक बार समझा दीजिए. आई जस्ट
और 7 14.
ये सर ये वाला जो आपने एलोकेट किया ये वाली चीज.
Kritika, it's quite natural. After 8, we move to 14. Now we compare the demand and supply. Here, 14, the demand supply is 120 and the demand is 200. So which is smaller? 120. So we allocate 120. Now the moment we allocate 120, this is cancel out. Then come down, the cell is 7. Now cell 7, we have 200, 200, we allocate 200, all cancel out.
Okay, sir.
You will automatically move from one side to another. इसमें ये खुद ब खुद आप आगे बढ़ते चले जाएंगे अगर आप लॉजिक फॉलो कर रहे हैं और आप रूल समझ गए. आप तो कहीं कुछ रुके, ये खुद ब खुद ऑटोमेटिक आप मूव करते चले जाएंगे.
तो सर इसमें हम लोग ये कंक्लूड कर सकते हैं अगर डिमांड और सप्लाई अनइक्वल है तो जिसकी स्मॉलर वैल्यू वी विल एलोकेट दैट एंड अगर सिमिलर होगा तो वो तो फिर हम लोग उसके अकॉर्डिंग एलोकेट कर देंगे. इससे हम लोगों का 200 इक्वल था तो हम लोगों ने डायरेक्ट 200 एलोकेट कर दिया.
Yes, if there is a tie, then you can allocate any quantity. If the real issue comes into picture when they are unequal. If they are unequal, we allocate the minimum quantity.
Okay, sir.
Okay?
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry, I'm not able to hear you. Anybody is asking a question?
No,
No, sir.
sir.
Okay, okay. So let me move ahead. And now I would like to shift towards the second method. हाँ, निकाल के ले आइए, तुम sign करो. So let me move to the method. Before I move to the method, going back to the anatomy, what it is here, we have this one very important slide. For initial feasible solution, we have northwest corner, we have least cost method, and we have Vogel's approximation method. Right. So let us move to least cost method. What is this method of calculating the initial feasible solution? How these two methods, northwest is different from least cost. Again, does not include any mathematics. It only includes a logic. और जब आप नॉर्थ वेस्ट कॉर्नर अच्छे से कर चुके हैं तो लीस्ट कॉस्ट इज वेरी वेरी simple to explain and is very very simple to understand. Let me move to least cost method. Same problem, this problem. Is this a balanced problem or an unbalanced problem? Balanced,
Balanced.
right?
Balanced.
Yeah. Let me move to least cost. Now, what is this least cost all about? This is the least cost assignment. If this is visible to you, this is the assignment by least cost method. Now, what is this method all about? As the name itself gives you an idea, here the logic of allocating the quantity is what? Here the logic is that we start with the cell which is having the minimum cost of transportation. I'm repeating. The starting cell is the cell which is having the minimum cost of transportation. And then gradually we move from one cell to another cell in the same manner, horizontal and vertical, without moving to diagonal. Now, if you quickly see, I will go back to the original table. I will go back to the original table. Yeah, this table. Is this table visible? Is this table visible to all of you?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, looking into that, and suppose I want to calculate the initial feasible solution by least cost method. आप मुझे बताइए वो कौन सा सेल है जिसकी कॉस्ट मिनिमम है?
Q, sir.
So CP.
CP, right? Right, CP. Which is the cost? CP. How much is the cost allocated in this cell?
6.
6. Is this the minimum? All of you agree that this is the minimum cost?
Yes, sir.
Right.
Yes, sir.
So that's fine. So starting cell is CP. Now, what do you mean by starting cell? Let us allocate the quantity. And the rule for allocating the quantity will remain the same. तो आप बताइए मुझे CP पे क्वांटिटी एलोकेट करनी है तो उसके कॉरेस्पॉन्डिंग सप्लाई कितनी है 200
200.
और उसके कॉरेस्पॉन्डिंग डिमांड कितनी है
180.
180.
which is smaller
180.
180.
I allocate 180. Yeah, we allocate 180 and the moment we allocate 180 what would happen? This 180 will cancel out 0
Cancel
and,
the 20.
remaining 200 minus 180 will become
20.
20.
right. So this is we have. Now, after this, move to the next cell. Now, next cell, what is the logic of moving to the next
Sir,
cell?
8. Sir, 7.
Next minimum cell. Go on. So
7.
7. Now, which cell is having the cost of 7?
So BP.
CS and BP.
Sir, BP.
CS.
Sir, CS and BP.
Yes. Which we have? We have
Sir, BP and CS.
BP and cells. Now
Yes, sir. We have two cells. Yes.
that's a very important thing. We have
So, but for BP demand is nil.
yes, right. Now, this is a tie between the two cells. We have BP and we have we have CS. Both is having the same minimum cost of cell. So now let us compare the values of the two cells, BP 7 and CS 7. So there is a tie between the two quantities. Now when there is a tie, then we have to discuss that which cell we have to allocate the quantity, right? But here there is a tie, but at the same time we cannot allocate any quantity to BP Why we cannot allocate any quantity to PP? Because here the demand, the corresponding demand is already 0. So the only option left for us is CS. Now when we see the CS, let us compare the demand and supply. What is the value of the supply corresponding to
Sir,
CS?
20.
20.
20.
20.
20 is less. So we allocate 20. Now the moment you allocate 20, the supply will cancel out, it will become 0. And the demand here will become 300.
300.
300.
Now, if you move to the next cell, now what is the logic of moving to the next cell? Next minimum.
Minus
8.
minimum.
8.
8.
8. Now, what is this cells? BR. अब
BR.
BR पे जब आप आएंगे, yeah, come to BR. Now, when you move to BR, compare supply and demand. What is supply? 300. And what is
320.
demand? 350.
350.
350. So naturally, whatever we have, so 300. Which quantity we will allocate? 300. So you
300.
allocate 300, and then after 8, which is the next cell? After 8,
AQ.
Sir, AQ, 10.
AQ.
which is having the transportation cost of 10, and then after 10 we have 12. So I will show you the allocation, and you yourself can see. This is the allocation. All of you please see here. We have this, we have 7, we have 8, we have 10, and we have 12. Now once you allocate these quantity, the supply and the demand automatically get cancelled out. That means it gets satisfied. So how many cells are assigned cell now? How many cells are assigned?
6.
6.
6. So
6.
now the question is, you have to answer this question: is this the initial feasible solution? क्या ये initial feasible solution है?
Yes, sir.
Now how do I decide? How do I say yes or no?
3 plus 4 minus 1 equals to
Yes.
6.
The point is that we applied the rule that number of assigned cell is equal to rows plus column minus 1. So number of assigned cell. How many assigned cells do we have? 6.
6.
And let me see rows and column. How many rows? 3.
The 3 plus 4.
Minus 4.
Minus
So
1.
6 equal to 6, that is left hand side is equal to right hand side. So the condition is satisfied. Now when the condition is satisfied, we can conclude that the solution obtained is the initial feasible solution. अगर ये equal ना होता, if right hand side is not equal to left hand side, that you cannot conclude that this is an initial feasible solution. So because we have left hand side equal to right hand side, we can say that this is the initial feasible solution. Last part of the solution, what is the total cost? Yes, what is the total cost now? How do we calculate total cost?
So multiplying.
Hmm.
So multiplication.
Multiplication, right. Kritika, right? This is the multiplication. So Anand, I hope you get the point now. How do
Yes,
we,
sir. Yes, sir.
How do we multiply now? What
Yes,
would
sir.
be
Thank you, sir.
6
Fine,
into
sir.
180. So all of you please cross check. Are you getting the right value? 9620, or you are getting some different values? I'm waiting for your answers. I'm waiting for your answers, please. Please cross check.
So it is
Yes.
9620, correct, sir?
Yes, sir. 9620.
Yes, sir.
Yes. All of you are getting the right answer? Same answer?
Yes,
9620?
sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
So I hope that there is no doubt, there is no confusion in this method of least cost now. Very
No,
much
sir.
similar,
All clear.
very much similar to northwest corner. That only difference is that in the northwest corner, the starting cell is the one which lies at the northwest direction, and the least cost, the starting cell is the one which is having the minimum cost of transportation. And then you gradually move from one cell to another cell by following a rule that either we should move horizontal or vertical, and the diagonal movement is not allowed. But one point is still not discussed in this method. Can anybody out of you tell me what is that which I have not discussed here? One thing is still missing in this method, which will create, or which you need to decide if this situation persists in the next question. What is that situation? Yes, कृतिका, क्या सब कुछ इसमें
Yes, sir.
डिस्कस कर लिया? कोई ऐसा एस्पेक्ट था जो यहाँ पे रिजॉल्व हो गया, लेकिन किसी और क्वेश्चन में हो सकता है कि वो इस तरह से रिजॉल्व ना हो पाए?
So let me think.
It's very simple. You yourself have seen that we have two cells having the same cost of transportation. So there is a tie between two cells having the minimum cost of 7. Although here this problem will not come because of the reason that the one cell is automatically filled, is already satisfied. So we have only one option. But in case if we have two options, that is two cells having the same minimum cost, then what we will do? अगर हमारे पास दो सेल होते,
Yes, sir.
दो सेल की मिनिमम कॉस्ट सेम होती, तो फिर how do we decide that which cell we have to allocate and which cell we have to keep it unassigned?
So the one with the least value, we will associate that.
We will allocate where maximum allocation is possible.
Tushar, what do you mean by least value? Which value you are talking about?
So
Cost
the
or quantity?
demand and supply, we will check that.
अच्छा,
The least one, we will allocate that.
least होता उसको हम कर लेते.
Yes.
Ashutosh, you are saying the same thing or you have a different view?
Sir, we will allocate where maximum allocation is possible.
That's the logic. Now think about it. I have given you two options where the cost of transportation is same, but the quantities are different. Now tell me logically that which option would you like to take? Cost of transportation is same, but the quantity may change. Now, naturally, I will select the option where the quantity is high because having the same transportation cost. तो अब आप देख रहे हैं इस प्रॉब्लम में, अगर आप देखें, सपोज करिए ये इन दोनों में टाई है और ये सेटिस्फाई ना होता, तो BP 7 and CS is also 7, same transportation cost. But I would choose a cell which will carry maximum quantity with the same cost. Okay?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Got it.
So please do not think of that way that we will select a cell which is having the minimum quantity. Here we have to select a cell carrying maximum quantity with the same cost of transportation. So please note it down in the form of remark. Remark के form में note कर लीजिए. If the two cell is having a same transportation cost, we select a cell carrying the maximum quantity. Note it down somewhere because this is an important remark. For
Sir,
this
please
type of
repeat
problem.
it.
If two cells is having the same cost, we select the.
Your voice, you were not
Sir,
audible. Can you recall?
Yes, sir, you were
what
not
you-
audible, sir. There was a breakage in your voice.
So can you recall whatever you said?
I'm saying, am I audible now?
Yes, sir. Audible.
Yes, sir.
मैं सिर्फ ये कह रहा हूँ कि note it down in the form of remark that if two cells having the same cost of transportation, we select the cell carrying maximum quantity. ठीक है? Clear है? और logic भी clear है? Same transportation cost and different quantities. So we will select the cell. We assign the cell carrying the maximum quantity. Fine?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes.
So by quantity you mean supply, right, sir?
No, I have not said supply. What do you mean by quantity?
It's a demand.
So demand.
No, which that
The
rules will
allocation
remain
made.
the same. That rules will remain. No, that's okay. But which value here? The quantity is demand, whichever is smaller in demand and supply, as what we have done previously.
Okay, sir. Okay.
For each cell, we compare the quantity which is minimum for demand and supply. You will attempt this. You will attempt this. I see in this type of problem, the question will automatically get answered once you have a problem in hand. राइट तो जब कोई प्रॉब्लम आएगी उस तरह की जब आप उसे सॉल्व करेंगे तो ये खुद ब खुद आपके समझ में आने लगेगी कि जो मैं बात अभी कह रहा हूँ अभी आप उसको नोट करोगे और करोगे तो यू विल गेट कंफ्यूज्ड जस्ट वेट
So, but in this case, we will compare like there are if two
in this case Kartika in this case there is no question of comparison reason is that we have two cells with a minimum cost लेकिन एक पे हम जा ही नहीं सकते वो रास्ता पहले से बंद है
yes, sir.
इसमें तो वो केस आया ही नहीं मैं तो उस केस की बात कर रहा था
नहीं सर मैं टू सेल्स के बारे में बात कर रही थी जैसे इसमें हम लोग क्या देखेंगे हम लोग डिमांड और सप्लाई दोनों को ही कंपेयर करेंगे दूसरे सेल के साथ कि जिसका ज्यादा होगा उसके बेसिस पे वी विल चूज
मैंने कहा ना आप इसमें कोई फर्दर डिस्कशन मत करिए आप क्वेश्चंस को सॉल्व करिएगा क्योंकि फिर वो आप खुद ब खुद क्लियर होगा ठीक है लेट मी move ahead so this is what we have so we have northwest corner and least cost maximum now in the examination whenever the problem of transportation is given obviously the a part of the question is to calculate the initial feasible solution. Now, there are two ways of asking this question. Either it is simply given that calculate initial feasible solution and the examiner does not mention the method to apply, right? It is your choice. Either you apply northwest corner or you apply the least cost method, right? In some case, the question could be that calculate the initial feasible solution by applying northwest corner or least cost method. So if the method is specified, you have to apply the method which is mentioned in the question. If it is not specified, it is your choice.
So in such a case, so do we have to mention the steps, like what steps we are following, or we direct have to calculate it?
No, that's again here the steps are the table that you are creating. So definitely you have one table and then you are doing the steps in the table. So the steps will automatically be there in the table itself. Once you are comparing the two, we are crossing demand and supply, you are calculating, you are subtracting the values. So it is clear from that table that you have done that in a step-by-step manner.
So we will do it in a single table. We do not have to create multiple tables to show our data.
It's all up to you. If a single table will work, fine. If you have at least two tables, you should have one the original table and then the next table is where you have done the calculation.
Okay, sir.
दो टेबल तो होना ही चाहिए. Okay.
Okay.
So with this, I'm not going to discuss with you the Vogel's approximation method. We'll see if we have a time, then we will cover that method. Two methods are enough for the discussion on initial feasible solution for as far as transportation problem is concerned. Now, let me quickly move to the stage 2 of the method. What is stage 2 of the method? The stage 2 of the method is we have to check. What we have to check? The solution which is obtained in stage 1, that is initial feasible solution. Is this the best solution? In the language of the linear programming and the transportation, the best stands for optimal. So the second stage, stage 2, that is why it is known as calculating the optimal solution. Stage 1 is what? Calculating the initial feasible solution. Stage 2 is what? Calculating the optimal solution. तो जो stage 1 में आपने initial feasible solution निकाला है, calculate किया है, is this the best or not? This is we need to determine what we call it as optimal solution. In the examination, when the question is given to you, you have two parts of that question. A part, calculate the initial feasible solution. B part, is the initial feasible solution optimal? Calculate the initial feasible or calculate the optimal solution. So checking or testing the optimality is the stage 2. Now recall the anatomy of the method which I have discussed with you. For stage 2, that is optimal solution, how many methods do we have? कितने मेथड है हमारे पास? Two methods.
Sir.
Can you recall the name of the two methods?
So stepping stone method and Modi method.
Modi's method. So let me first of all focus on this stepping stone method. What is this stepping stone method is all about? Uh, Dear students, as I already discussed, that if you want to understand the logic of the method, focus on the term which is used to explain that method. Here, the term is very interesting. What is this term? The term is stepping stone. Now, what do you mean by stepping stone? Here, the stepping stone is that you have to move from one cell to another cell in a way as if you are jumping from one stone to another stone. You are jumping from one stone to another stone, right? And that movement from one cell to another cell, now there are certain rules and terms and conditions for that movement. Just say as if you are playing a game and you are filling the cell or you are moving from one cell to another cell, there are certain rules. Here, there are certain rules that you need to follow. From jumping from one cell to another cell, that is very much similar to stepping stone, that is moving from one stone to another. What is that rule? First rule, you should move in एंटी क्लॉकवाइज डायरेक्शन. पहला रूल क्या है कि आप मूवमेंट करेंगे एंटी क्लॉकवाइज डायरेक्शन, राइट. सेकंड रूल, you have to move in a way that your starting cell is the empty cell and all the other cell are assigned cell. So the first cell from where you start is an empty cell and the remaining cells are what? They are the assigned cell. They are not the empty cell, they are the assigned cell. And last but not the least, your movement is should in the way that it would create a loop which is a closed loop. That is not an open loop, it's a loop. That is a closed diagram.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes, please.
Sir, are you showing the stepping stone slide, but it's not visible on the screen?
I'm not showing you the stepping stone. That is why I'm not showing you the slide.
Okay. Sorry, sir. Okay.
I am just, before showing it to you, I just explaining you the basic rule of that, so that once you see that picture of the stepping stone, you will not get confused. अभी मैंने दिखाई नहीं, अभी सिर्फ बता रहा हूँ.
Okay, sir.
Stepping stone is a method where you jump from one cell to another cell. Jumping follow a rule that you move in the direction which is anti-clockwise, number one. Number two, starting cell is the empty and the remaining cells are assigned. Number three, it will create a loop which is a closed loop. Now let me show you the slides. Can you see this picture? Can you see this diagram?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Right. So this is what we have. This is the stepping stone. What is this stepping stone? The cell, the starting cell, if you see here, is which cell? AS. Which cell? AS, which is having the cost of 13. The transportation cost is 13, but there is no quantity assigned to it. That this is unassigned. ये कौन सी table है? This is the initial feasible solution by northwest corner table. The table under consideration, which is used for checking the optimality, for testing the optimality, is a table created under northwest corner method. Now, if you see this northwest corner table, we have one cell AS, which is I have taken right now, which is having the cost as 30. This is the starting cell. Now see the direction. From AS to move to the next cell, AR. Why should I move to AR? Why not below to it, BS?
So because we are following anti-clockwise direction.
हम एंटी क्लॉकवाइज डायरेक्शन में चल रहे हैं, इसलिए हम नीचे नहीं आएंगे. We move toward the left of this, and that is why we reach to AR in the anti-clockwise direction. Now, you see that you will see some signs here. Starting
So you're not audible.
Am I audible to you now?
You're audible.
Yes, sir.
थोड़ा सा बीच में कुछ डिस्कनेक्ट हो गया था. I
Yes.
don't know. Okay. I don't know how far you are able to hear.
You would you told us about the anti-clockwise part when we are moving from AS to AR. So why
Yeah.
we are moving? So that was
So yeah, AS to AR, and then after the next cell is BR, and the next cell is BS. So you see the loop AS. If you write down the loop AS, AR, BR, and BS. This is the loop. How do we write the loop? I'm showing you this one. Yeah, see this. Is this slide visible?
yes, sir.
See the cells, and the corresponding loop. Right? So if I write down the loop of AS, अगर मैं AS का loop लिखूंगा AS, how shall I write the loop of the AS? What would be AS? Starting cell is AS
AR.
dash. After that, anybody?
AR.
AR.
Yeah, yeah.
AR. Next,
BR,
BS.
BR.
BR,
Yes.
BS,
and BS.
BS.
Yes.
This is the way we write the loop. This is the way we write the loop. So similarly, we have to, now I'm going back to this. So this is what we have. Now this is about the direction, and this is about the loop that we have created. But the point which I am discussing here is that starting cell, I put the plus sign. So plus, and then we have minus. Because alternatively, we change the sign. Plus, then in the next cell, we have minus, then we have plus, and then we have minus. So plus, minus, plus, minus. So this is what we have. This is what we have. Okay?
So
Are you
on what
clear?
basis? Sir, that is clear. But on what basis you are like putting plus minus? Is there some what is the logic behind it?
Yes, yes. Now I'm coming to the point. This is I'm just giving you a brief idea about what is stepping stone all about, because I'm telling you the rule of forming the loop, and what is this logic of jumping from one cell to another, and that is how the word, the term used for this method is stepping stone. But now come to the main point. Why we are doing this exercise of jumping from one cell to another cell in the anti-clockwise direction, creating a loop, and then putting the plus and the minus sign. हम ये सब क्या कर रहे हैं? Why we are doing it? And why we have started from AS? Why not from any other cell? What actually we want to calculate with this method? Anybody? कभी कुछ आपने कुछ सोचा? आपने क्या बता सकते हैं आप क्या है ये? Why we are doing it?
So I think हम लोगों ने जो उसमें वैल्यू देखी था, आपने बोला था कि we will start with the empty cell and then we will move further with the assigned cell. तो अगर हम लोग यहाँ पे इस कंडीशन में देखें तो 13 जो है उसके आसपास ही 13 is the empty cell and surrounding assigned cell है. So I think that is the reason why we have chosen 30 as the starting point.
नहीं ठीक है. अब मैं आपको बताता हूँ क्या है. What is this? Why we are doing this exercise? सबसे पहले तो बिल्कुल बेसिक पे आइए. We have the initial feasible solution and we are checking the optimality कि ये जो IFS हमने स्टेज 1 में निकाला था कि क्या ये ऑप्टिमल है या नहीं. Is this the optimal or not? उसका लॉजिक क्या है? उसका लॉजिक, what is this, the logic of testing the optimality? आपने इनिशियल फिजिकल सॉल्यूशन में देखा था कि हमने कुछ सेल्स असाइंड किए थे और कुछ सेल अनअसाइंड छोड़ दिए थे. I hope you can recall how many cells, the figure is there in front of you. How many cells are assigned?
So 6.
6. What about the remaining cells? They are
They are
unassigned.
unassigned.
We have not chosen them for the allocation purpose. तो हमने कुछ को असाइन किया और कुछ हम छोड़ा है. अब सवाल यहाँ पर ये होता है, द क्वेश्चन इज कि जो सेल आपने छोड़ दिए थे, दैट इज अनअसाइंड, एम्प्टी, क्या ये आपका डिसीजन उनको खाली छोड़ने का और उनको असाइन करने का, इज दिस द राइट डिसीजन? अगर ये डिसीजन सही था कि उनको असाइन किया और इनको खाली छोड़ दिया, so that means that initial feasible solution is the optimal solution. But if this decision is not correct, then we have to improve our solution because our initial feasible solution is not the optimal solution. Yes. So the entire story revolves around on this logic that the cell
Can
which
you
are assigned.
sir, can you recall, like, your voice became
हाँ मैं
inaudible?
वहीं से कनेक्ट कर रहा हूँ कि ये तो क्लियर था कि मैंने बताया कि देयर आर असाइंड सेल, देयर आर अनअसाइंड सेल. Now, checking the optimality is that we have to check our decision कि जिन cells को हमने assigned किया और जिनको हमने खाली छोड़ दिया, those are unassigned empty cells जिन्हें हम कह रहे हैं. Is this decision, is this allocation is right or it needs some improvement? अब ये हमें कैसे पता चलेगा, ये कैसे हमें डिसाइड होगा कि जो खाली छोड़ दिए वो ठीक रहा और जिनको एलोकेट कर दिया वो ठीक था या ये ठीक नहीं था. This is not the right decision. This is the process of testing the optimality. For that purpose, अब आप खुद सोचिए कि what are these cells? These are nothing but the routes of transportation. Okay. Now you have options to go from your origin to destination. Right? There are different methods of doing so, and every method has its associated cost. जो हमने एक्सेप्ट कर लिया, जो हमने अडॉप्ट कर लिया वो हमारा डिसीजन था और जो हमने छोड़ दिया वो हमने छोड़ दिया. Now, can anybody out of you tell me, because you have studied your accounting paper and you are also attending the classes of the cost which is associated with this type of any type of cost which I can calculate here, which can help me in deciding that my decision is right or needs some improvement?
So fixed cost.
बेटा बताने से पहले थोड़ा उसे बताने आंसर को भी लॉजिक होना चाहिए. ऐसा नहीं कि जो आया बस एक हमने बता दिया. बताएं, और लोग बताएं. अब हर आंसर कृतिका ही क्यों बता रही है? 2-4 लोग ही बस बोलते हैं, बाकी सब लोग एज इफ यू आर जस्ट लिसनिंग. देयर आर 51 स्टूडेंट्स. तो एनीबडी प्लीज बताएं क्या क्विकली. Have you heard about any cost which helps you in deciding that your decision is right or it is not right, it needs improvement? जो आप में से इस क्वेश्चन का आंसर दे देगा उसे मैं एक सेशनल मार्क्स के अंदर आई जस्ट नोटेड डाउन देयर नेम एंड आई विल गिव देम 2 मार्क्स एक्स्ट्रा. Now that would be considered one of the best student of my class in this quantitative technique. बताइए, सोचिए क्या है, कौन सी कॉस्ट होती है which will help you to understand that your decision is right or it is not, it needs improvement.
So more of a time variable, like we have studied 2 costs, fixed cost and variable cost.
नहीं,
If
I
I'm
think
not
So opportunity cost.
opportunity cost, yes.
right. Zubair is also writing the answers. So that's a point. Opportunity cost. So what we need to do is that we have to calculate the opportunity cost of unassigned cell. तो ये जो पूरी एक्सरसाइज हो रही थी लूपिंग की और मूवमेंट की और जो स्टेपिंग स्टोन का लॉजिक वो ये था कि जो अनअसाइंड सेल हैं उनकी अपॉर्चुनिटी कॉस्ट हमें निकालनी है. वी हैव टू कैलकुलेट द अपॉर्चुनिटी कॉस्ट ऑफ all unassigned cells. And the criteria and the rule is that we have to make sure that none of the unassigned cell obtain a positive opportunity cost. In other words, if any unassigned cell obtain a positive opportunity cost, that means our initial feasible solution is not the optimal solution and we have to revise. We have to revise the initial feasible solution. तो हमें हर खाली सेल की अनअसाइंड सेल की अपॉर्चुनिटी कॉस्ट निकालनी पड़ेगी और देखना होगा कि कोई भी अपॉर्चुनिटी कॉस्ट पॉजिटिव तो नहीं आ रही. अगर एक भी सेल की पॉजिटिव कॉस्ट पॉजिटिव आ जाती है तो इसका मतलब यह है कि जिसे हम खाली छोड़ आए हैं वो डिसीजन सही नहीं है. We have to revise. This final answer of calculating the opportunity cost is actually being determined by applying the stepping stone logic which I have just discussed. Now, how do we do it? How do we calculate it? I will cover it up in the next class because tomorrow we have 2 classes together. So I will try to, inshallah, cover it up. In that case, telling you about the opportunity cost and moving ahead also. Okay?
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
So, sir,
Thank
thank you so much.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so
Assalamu
much, sir.
Thank you, sir.